Think of the Bowery in New York, Main Street in Los Angeles. Think of old men and boys out of work hanging around, smoking Beldarha, talking about the government, waiting for something to turn up.
You're
simply waiting.
kind of mumbling.
Well,
Kind of there. So maybe in this section you can pause a little bit more. So you can say third street that I have is this street. Think of the Bowery in New York, Main Street, Los Angeles. Think of old men, boys, out of work, hanging around, smoking Beldarha. Talking about the government, waiting for something to turn up, simply waiting.
Okay.
A little bit more pausing would be nice.
Okay. Third Street, below Howard, is a district. Think of a Bowery in New York, Main Street in Los Angeles. Think of the old men and boys out of work, hanging around, smoking Beldarha, talking about the government, waiting for something to turn up, simply waiting. I had 20 cents and a half pack of the Beldarha. I wrote the secret, handed a pack to some of my contemporaries who looked in need of nicotine. My contemporaries was a boy of 16. They lived Iowa.
Wait. My contemporaries were 16 because two.
Oh, okay.
The director wants two, so not were. My contemporaries were boys of 16.
Okay.
My contemporaries.
My contemporaries were boys of 16. They looked Iowa. Splendid, potentially a solid American, but down, greatly down in the mouth. Little sleep, no change of clothes for several days, a little fear, etc. I wanted very much to know his name.
Two. Sorry, I wanted very much
I wanted to know their name.
Their names.
Their names. I wanted very much to know their names. A writer is always wanting to get the reality of faces and figures. I don't know where I have to. Good luck, North.
No, doesn't Iowa say this next?
What you said.
So Iowa says, we just got in from Salinas. No work in the leathers fields.
Yeah, but there is no Iowa.
Oh, okay, well, I can say that.
Oh, okay.
We just got in from Salinas. No work in the leathers fields. Going north now to Portland, try to ship out.
Okay, good luck, North.
We know better. Give it a try. Nothing to lose.
Fine boys. Hope they aren't dead. Hope they haven't frozen. Mighty cold days. Mighty cold these days. Hope you are earning money. I hope you have rented a clean room with a warm bed in it. I hope you are sleeping nights, eating regularly, eating regularly, walking along like a human being, being happy. Iowa, my good wishes are with you.
Iowa's,
my good wishes are with you. I have a certain number of prayers for you. Oh, yeah. Genki desu ka?
Arigato. Very well, thank you. Do you speak Japanese?
Unfortunately, no. I am able to speak only one or two words. I used to work with Yoshio Enomoto, Hideo Suzuki, Katsumi Sujimoto. Do you know that?
Enomoto Suzuki Sujimoto. Yes, Suzuki is a small man?
Yeah.
I know him. He lives in San Jose now. He's married now.
I do not believe in races. I do not believe in governments. I see life as one life at one time. So many millions simultaneously all over the earth. Babies who have not yet been taught to speak any language are the only race of the earth, the race of man. All the rest in pretense, what we call civilization, hatred, fear, desire for strength. But a baby is a baby when the way they cry. And the way they cry, there you have the brotherhood of man, babies crying. We grow up and we learn the words of a language and we see the universe through the language we know. We do not see it through all language or through no language at all, through silence. For example, when we isolate ourselves in the language we know, over here we isolate ourselves in English or American, or man can call as man can call it. They tell no things here in our world. If I want to do anything, I want to speak a more universal language, the heart of man, the unwritten part of man, that which is eternal and common to all races.
I think maybe you could put a little bit more stress in this. So you can say, for example, I do not believe in races. I do not believe in governments.
Okay.
I see life as one life at one time. So many millions simultaneously all over the earth. Babies who have not yet been taught to speak any language are the only race of the earth, the race of man. All the rest is pretense, what we call civilization. Hatred, fear, desire for strength. But a baby is a baby. And the way they cry, there you have the brotherhood of man. Babies crying. We grow up and we learn the words, we grow up and we learn the words of a language, and we see the universe through the language we know. We do not see it through all the languages, or through no language at all, through silence, for example. And we isolate ourselves in the language we know. Over here we isolate ourselves in English, or American as men calls it. All the eternal things in our words. If I want to do anything, if I want to speak a more universal language, the heart of man, the unwritten part of man, that which is eternal in common to all races.
Okay.
So I want to do something like that. I think for me there's a lot of contrast. So contrast is but. So good, bad, fat, thin, ugly, beautiful. For me there is a lot of contrast here, and your voice needs to show the contrast. So for example, here their language are the only race of the earth, the race of man. All the rest is pretense. What we call civilization, hatred, fear, desire for strength. But a baby is a baby. And the way you cry, there you have the brotherhood of man. I think there would be quite nice as well, because you're saying this is really important. So I think you can be a bit more stressed, because he's really kind of contrasting. So I think it would be better that way. Do you want to try again?
Yeah, of course. I do not believe in races. I do not believe in government. I see life as one life at one time. So many millions simultaneously all over the earth. Babies who have not yet been taught to speak any language are the only race of the earth, the race of man. All the rest is pretense, what we call civilization, hatred, fear, desire for strength. But a baby is a baby. And the way they cry, there you have the brotherhood of man, babies crying. We grow up and we learn the words of language, and we see the universe through the language we know. We do not see it through all languages or through no language at all, through silence, for example. And we isolate ourselves in the language we know. Over here, we isolate ourselves in English, or American as man can call it. All the eternal things in our words. If I want to do anything, I want to speak a more universal language. The heart of the man, the unwritten part of man, that which is eternal and common to all races.
That was nice. That was really good.
Thanks. That name.
I'm cutting your hair.
Are you cutting his hair or stroking him?
Yeah.
Looks like you're stroking him.
Stroking and cutting.
All right. Looks like he's your cat.
Breathe.
That name. Are you an Armenian?
I'm a Syrian.
Well, it was something. They, as Syrians, came from our part of the world. They had noses like our noses, eyes like our eyes, birds like our birds. They had a different language. When they spoke, we couldn't understand it, but they were a lot like us. It wasn't quite as pleasing as it would have been if Badr had been an Armenian, but it was something. I am an Armenian. I used to know some Syrian boys in my hometown. Joseph Sarkis, Nitro Elia, Tony Saleh.
Do you know any of them? Joseph Sarkis, I know him. The others I don't know. We lived in New York until 5 years ago. Then we came out to west. Then we came out west to Turlock. Then we moved up to San Francisco.
Nitro Elia is the captain in the Salvation Army. Tony Saleh was killed 8 years ago. He was riding on a horse and he was thrown, and the horse began to run. Tony could not get himself free. He was caught by a leg and the horse ran around and around for a half hour and then stopped. And when they went out to Tony, he was dead. He was 14 at the time. I used to go to school with him. Tony was a very clever boy, very good arithmetic.
How, in this section here, Tony Saleh, how do you want to sound? Do you want to sound, unhappy, or do you want to sound thinking back in the past?
Thinking then.
Right, I think.
Yeah, but our teacher, Mr. Kirk, just now when I'm speaking about Tom Sawyer, I'm in good mood. I'm lovely man.
Right.
But even when I'm speaking about him, when I'm said and went out, he was dead. And he was dead, and we could not do anything. He was just dead, and nothing that we can do. Yeah.
Okay.
But when I'm tell he was 14 at the time, I'm like he was 14 at the time. He was only 14.
So kind of sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the first part, the second part was quite nice, but the first part you sounded a little bit drunk.
True.
Yeah, you sounded a little bit drunk. So I was interested in what you were going for. So you were saying kind of happy, yeah? Right, okay.
Okay. Now.
Try again.
Yeah, of course. You tried too, yeah, about Joseph Sakis, I know.
Joseph Sakis, I know him. The others, I don't know. We lived in New York until 5 years ago. And then we came out west to Charlotte. Then we moved up to San Francisco.
Nito Elia is a captain in the Salvation Army. Tony Sullivan was killed 8 years ago. He was riding on a horse and he was thrown and the horse began to run. Tony couldn't get himself free. He was caught by a leg and the horse ran around and ran for a half hour and then stopped. And when they went up to Tony, he was dead. He was 14 at the time. I used to go to school with him. Tony was a very clever boy, very good at arithmetic.
That was better. Yeah, that was better. I think you can maybe still be a little bit kind of happier in the first part, but it was better, yes. You didn't sound drunk this time.
Okay, and I think after he was, he's saying that he was 14 at the time, he said, but when he says that he was going to school with him, it's some kind of good thing that because he was
very good, yeah, no, fine, yeah. Yes, I think so. I think so, yes, that would make sense. Yes.
Okay, Matt, right?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. Tony Sullivan. Tony Sullivan was killed 8 years ago. He was riding on a horse and he was thrown and the horse began to run. Tony couldn't get himself free. He was caught by a leg and the horse ran around and around for a half hour and then stopped. And when they went up to Tony, he was dead. He was 14 at the time. I used to go to school with him, you know. Tony was a clever, very, very clever boy. Very good at everything.
Yeah, that was nice. That was nice. That was much better. Yeah, good.
I cannot read Syrian. I was born in an old country, but I want to get over it. Why?
Why do you want to get over it?
Well, simply because everything is washed up over there. We were great people once, but that was yesterday, the day before yesterday. Now we are a topic in ancient history. We had a great civilization. They are still admiring it. Now men in America are learning how to cut hair. We are washed up as a race. We are through. It's all over. Why should I learn to read the language? We have no writers. We have no news. And then I don't read that.
Okay. Remember, I don't know, what did your director say about this part?
I don't remember.
No, because for me,
because he said that it's not interesting. The speech that he's saying is not interesting for me.
Right.
I'm only speaking with him because he's a man that came to me and wanted to cut his.
Right. Yeah. No. Fair enough. But I mean, first he laughed. For me, it's quite cool.
Well.
And also for me, the words that he uses and the way he says it, he sounds really, we say, bitter. Now, bitter is when something happened to you in the past and you still feel very unhappy about this. Maybe you can make jokes about this, but you still feel this is a big thing for you. So for me, he sounds quite bitter. He sounds like, yeah, he can joke about this, but it's still maybe a bit painful. Because he says, you know, we had a great civilization. University professors, academics, scholars, they look at our civilization, they say, it's fantastic. What am I doing? I'm cutting hair. And he sounds kind of bitter when he says that, I would say. So yeah, you know, our civilization was fantastic, but look at me, I'm cutting hair. I'm wasting my time. Is kind of what I think he's saying. So do you want to try it again?